Welcome back to Session 6 of this course, which guides us in mindfully and compassionately moving through times of transition and challenge by connecting deeply to the present moment. In the last session, we learned about embracing strong emotions. In today's session, we'll look into mindfulness of impermanence and how practices of contemplating impermanence can help us live more deeply. Our whole lives are a process of transition. Even in relatively stable times where we may spend a few years or more in the same dwelling, relationship, job, or place of study, we're still constantly changing, from one breath to another, morning to night, from week to week, month to month. About 100 million new red blood cells are being formed in our bodies every minute. Our bodies and minds are changing in every moment, just in subtler ways than the bigger transitions we go through. Impermanence is one of the key marks of existence. It influences everything. Recognizing how it constantly operates in our lives in small ways helps us to be more receptive and accepting of how it operates in larger ways in times of bigger upheaval and turmoil, like times of loss, changes in our relationships, work, living environment, or health. Many of us get lulled into believing what we have now will always be here. This is a central cause of our suffering. We want that which has the nature to change to stay the same. For those of us living in Western cultures that are obsessed with youth and that avoid or try to hide the reality of death from us, this very human tendency is only further underscored. But facing the truth of impermanence actually frees us up to live our lives more deeply and to transform our deepest fears. The more we can bring it up into conscious awareness from where it sleeps just under the surface and make a point to look at it clearly, the less we'll be controlled by the subtle unconscious fear of change that is operating just under the radar of awareness. Impermanence is not an idea, but an insight that can be enormously empowering because we're opening to the truth of how life is, not remaining confused by our delusions and how we want it to be. We can observe it in the constant changing of our breath, the flow of the in to the out breath, how no breath is the same as a breath that came before, just like no moment is the same as the one that came before. We can see it in the unfolding of our lifespan and the lifespans of those we love. Spending time in nature, we notice the constant changing in the plants, the animals, the weather, and time. And we can also observe it on a larger scale in the evolution of our human species, the evolution of all species. The profound changes that planet Earth has gone through, and solar systems, galaxies, and the entire universe. Everything is constantly in flux. The Buddha offered a meditation on impermanence to help shake us out of our dream that things will stay the same as we wish them to. Called the Five Remembrances, it asks us to remember 5 things every day. That we're of the nature to grow old, to have ill health, to die, that our loved ones are of the nature to change, and we can't avoid being separated from them, and lastly, that our actions are our only true possessions. We don't get to take anything else with us when we pass away. In this meditation practice, we consciously bring up the things that we usually don't want to see, that we and those we love will one day pass away. Tai says contemplating impermanence in this way is not intended to make us feel depressed or anxious, but to actually help us feel more alive and in touch with life, to appreciate its preciousness even more. I offered these 5 remembrances to teenagers at a teen retreat some years ago, and they reflected that the meditation was painful but good. They experienced it as refreshing, opening them up so that they could live deeply and really treasure their relationships. When we meditate on these 5 remembrances, we're also preparing ourselves so that we will know one day how to die well. Mindfulness practice is also a preparation for one of the biggest transitions and challenges we will each face, our own death. Meditating on these remembrances can also help us be ready to support and accompany others when they pass away. This is a very precious gift to help someone experience some measure of non-fear in the face of death. Another major transition is the huge one our species is now facing with the climate crisis. While this may be quite overwhelming to contemplate, purposely turning toward impermanence and accepting this as our reality can help us to make decisions that will help us face the coming societal collapse with more resilience and the ability to adapt. As James Baldwin says, not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it's faced. So let's begin this practice of facing the truth about our lives. If you notice discomfort or fear arising as you do the meditation, pause to be with and care for these difficult emotions with compassion and kindness. You can pause the session at any time to be present for whatever needs your attention. So settling into a position that's supportive and comfortable. Feel your breath. Feel your body. Let yourself begin to open and settle as you drop into this moment. The 5 remembrances. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. Growing old, no escape. So visualize yourself aging, becoming an elderly person, even more elderly than you already are if you're already an elder. See your body, see your face. Let yourself really contemplate the process of growing old, how this will happen to you. Growing old, no escape. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. ill health, no escape. Now contemplate yourself in some situation in which you're dealing with illness, where people may need to help you and take care of you. Where you're unable to do the things that you're normally able to do. Just really let that in, that that's part of life. There's no escape from ill health. I am of the nature to die. There's no way to escape death. Death, no escape. Picture yourself on your deathbed, the last moments of your life, taking your final breaths. Feel into how you want those moments to be. Peaceful, calm, free from fear. Know that every time you bring up the awareness of your own death now, when you're fully alive, you nourish the seed in you of being able to face your death with strength, with clarity, with tranquility. So really let yourself take in that one day you will die. One day you will take your very last breath. There's no escape from death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature to change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. All that is dear to me will change. No escape from being separated. Again, visualize yourself having to be separated from what you love. People, places, things, how they will all change. There's no way to escape being separated from them. Allow that in. Accept that truth. My actions are my only true belongings. I cannot escape the consequences of my actions. My actions are the ground on which I stand. My actions are the only thing I take with me. There's no escape from the consequences of my actions. Bringing awareness to the fact that when we pass away, we can't take anything with us. All we have are the consequences of our actions. There's no escape from these consequences. Letting yourself rest back, connecting with your breathing, connecting with your body as you dwell in this moment. There ain't no way to avoid dying, for I am of the nature to grow old. There ain't no way to avoid sickness, for I am of the nature to take ill. All those dear and precious to me will change and grow in their own time. My actions are my true possessions. They are the ground on which I stand. In this 6th session, we've explored the intrinsic impermanent nature of reality and how practices of purposely contemplating impermanence can help us live more deeply and release our fear. In the next session, we'll learn about the 8 worldly winds and how to cultivate a vast presence in the midst of the vicissitudes of life.